I think there are 1,000 different stories that I can tell about how data, how reporting can really impact the way businesses work and how business can be more profitable by making decision-based decisions. But one of my favorite ones that I ever heard is actually one about a chain of casinos somewhere in the USA. They noticed that their profit margins, their revenues growth was a bit slacking. So instead of going to one of these big consultancy firms, you know, the McKinseys, the BCGs of this world, they decided to actually look internally at their IT team and at their data team. And they asked them, okay, we noticed this slack in growth, this revenue growth that we've been experiencing the last few years. Could you maybe look at internally what happened and what we need to change? The data team and the IT team work together. They came actually back with the evidence that's proved and the data that proved that instead of focusing on the high stakes players, as they had been doing for the last years, they should actually focus more on the small stake players, where they had maybe a bit smaller margins, but they had way more small stakes players. And by doing so, by changing their approach to smaller stakes players, they actually managed to increase their revenue over the following years with millions and millions of euros. Today, we are going to be talking, as you can see here, about the power of data with regards to decisions and how data-driven decisions can really unlock success for your own business. Next to this, we're also going to talk about our BI, or Business Intelligence Service team, and how they can assist you in setting up the most custom and the most appropriate dashboards for your own business. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mathieu de Simpelare. I have been a business advisor at Odoo for the last couple of years. So I've been guiding companies through their ERP decision-making process, guiding them through their business, their needs, qualifying their needs, and doing personalized demonstrations, as you can see. As you can see here on the screen, there is a QR code that you can scan. If you have any questions at the end, I will do my best to answer them. But for now, let's jump into a story, let's jump into a case of actually one of my clients that came back to me a couple of months ago. They came to me and they said, Mathieu, we have been using Odoo now for a couple of months already. We're actually quite happy with it. We manage almost all of our processes in it, going from the website all the way to the invoicing, managing our consultants, seeing who, planning who does what, timesheeting and everything. But we do have the feeling at some points we're lacking a bit of information, we're lacking a bit of reporting, a bit more personalized reporting, because of course you have this basic type of reporting, you have the who's the best timesheeter, what is our profit of the month, etc. But we would like to go a bit more in depth. We would like to maybe look at a more in-depth cash flow reporting, see how this cash, our invoices and our payables all impact our cash flow in the future. We would like to do maybe a gap analysis of our consultants and see who's over time sheeting, who's under time sheeting, what the specific reasons for these differences are. A more in-depth budget analysis. We know we have a basic budget analysis in the project application, but we would like to be more in-depth with this accounting, budgeting, analytical budgeting, etc. And maybe rentability per consultant. These were some of the examples that they came back to me. And they actually mentioned we're doubting between going or for another solution. You all know them, the Power BI, the Click, the Tableau, these big reporting software solutions. Or we also know that Odoo has a dashboarding application. So we also wanted to know what the options are here with regards to the dashboarding tool. So we're going to look at the two different options, I said. Let's take a look, first of all, at an external solution. Okay, they might as well be very powerful, but what else comes with it? First of all, on top of your Odoo subscription, you will also need to be looking at a new subscription of this specific solution, of course. As we all know, unfortunately, not all the different solutions are as affordable, as value for money as Odoo. So for example, for a Tableau, for a Click, we are easily going to be looking at an extra cost of around $50 per user, or even more, and in some cases, depending, of course, on the rights that our users will need to have. Next to this solution will need to be integrated with Odoo as well, because you said you're happy with using Odoo, you're managing all of your processes now within Odoo, an integration will have to be made. So or one of our implementation partners can assist you with this. But of course, this will come at a price. So again, an extra cost that we will have here. Finally, the third cost that we will be looking at with regards to this external tool that we would be using is the maintenance of this integration. And this integration, first of all, does not come for free, but second of all, also needs to be maintained. Every year, Odoo comes out with a new version where new functionalities come, but also this means that this integration will no longer be up to date, so you will need to update it to the latest version, which means, again, an extra cost for your business. So I said external tool can be a good option, of course, but it brings with it quite a budget. So why not take a look at Odoo spreadsheets and Odoo dashboarding tool and see what we can do internally within your database. This is what we are going to do now. And as you can see, we are currently within our dashboard application of the database. And for the people who are using Odoo on a daily basis, they maybe notice that we have here all the standard dashboard reportings that we have, but also a new one that our consultants, our BI services team made for the firm Consulting Pro. We are here looking now at the cash flow tool that we made for them, and we can choose, or the client could choose actually, okay, first of all, in which time frame do I want to be looking at my cash flow forecast? I always prefer to see my cash flow per month, so if we click per month, we have here a clear and overseeable forecast with all the months in there. If you want a longer period or a shorter period, always possibilities, of course, to add these lines or remove these lines. We see currently Consulting Pro has a cash balance of 20,000 euros, no outstanding payments or receipts that still need to come in. And most of this cash flow is, of course, based on the accounting entries that we can see here on invoices that are sent out based on the due date, but also on in bills that came in and when we need to pay them. As you notice, as we hover these specific numbers, all of them are also clickable. So, for example, this 138,000 that we have to pay in December 2024, me as a CFO, I would like to know, is this 138,000 that will still need to come in rather? Is this all small invoices or is this one big invoice from one major client that we have? So if we click on it, we jump actually into the backend of Odoo. We go into the accounting application where we can see this is actually 3 different invoices of our customers, Bright Ideas, Creative Agency, and Future Concept that we have here. Again, we could click further on them. We could send reminders from out of here. So this integration is also here present within this dashboarding tool. If we move down a bit, we can see that also in a visual way they have a clear overview of their cash flow. We see a small dip in November 2024, but afterwards it's going up. And I guess that after March, the data is not yet there, or the specific metrics are not yet there. So the cash flow is only going down from there. Also here in a visual way, and this confirms my suspicions, as we have no more cash coming in, but only the basic cash going out. Consulting Pro manages a lot in Odoo, but of course not all expenses can be managed within Odoo. They decided to not do their payroll, for example, within the Odoo tool, but just keep that separate. And also some expenses don't come always with an invoice or a bill that needs to be paid. So in order to tailor to that specific need, our BI services team made a edit forecast and salaries tab here. So I would advise you to pay attention here to these numbers. For example, in January 2025, we're at 0 here, and a 27,500 salary cost for this moment. If we edit our forecast, we can adapt these numbers and maybe look for unforeseen costs, and these take also the salary costs into account. If we move to the forecast tab here, we see that these are 3 different costs that can still be added. And for example, I am the CEO of Consulting Pro. I know every new year we like to do a little party for to celebrate the New Year's with the whole office. So I'm going to do this on the 5th of January in 2025. I'm going to calculate a budget of around 10,000 for this party. And in order to not make my CFO mad, I'm going to put this under diverse so that they don't really know what kind of expense we're looking at here. We can, of course, make this more in-depth as well as we want it, but for now, let's keep it basic like this. Next to this, we also just hired a new person. So here we're looking at all of our salary costs. For now, we have chosen to do a salary cost per employee. So we see the overview of all our employees right here on the right, with their hourly costs, their working hours, etc. Just as information. Here we have their contract. So employee one gives us a cost of 5,000 euros per month, an employer cost of 5,000 euros per month, for example. We can also choose to just do our salary costs in an integrated and a complete way, where we're going to be looking, for example, at a total salary cost of, let's say, 60,000 euros per month. But for now, Consulting Pro chose to do it employee per employee. So the new employee is added. Let's see here, number 21. We're going to give him the contract starting the 1st of November in 2024. And for us, he can have we offer him a yearly contract, so until the 1st of November in 2025, with a monthly cost, employer cost of 5,000 euros that we will need to pay Walter. And if we take these costs into account, so this diverse party costs as well as the salary cost that gets added, and we go back to our cash flow dashboard, we will now see that these get taken into account. So we see here the 10,000 expense that is added in January 2025, as well as the added cost from November 2024 on, an extra salary cost of 5,000 euros that is added within our expenses and taken into account in our more in-depth cash flow as well. For now, I propose we're only going to be looking at one of the type of specific reportings that Consulting Pro asked for, but be aware that all of them actually can be managed within Odoo. It's just a matter of discussing with the specific consultant, discussing with your partner on what exactly you're looking for, and almost everything can really be managed within the dashboarding tool within the Odoo application or the Odoo solution. So now we have seen what our dashboarding tool actually can achieve. But let's take a small step back and see how our business intelligence software managed to be able to get there, and how they actually work, what the time frame of an implementation of this personalized and custom dashboard looks like, and what the advantages are of using Odoo over a different solution, such as the Tableau, Click, and Power BI. Our consultants, our BI services team, has decided to divide the process actually of this implementation over this dashboard creation into 5 different steps, starting with the KPI analysis. With this KPI analysis, they are going to be looking together with you at how exactly does your business work, which specific metrics do you want to be looking at in order to spot the right trends, the right anomalies within your data, and in order to get the best reports as possible for your business, for your way of working, in order to have this complete overview in there. Once these KPIs are decided, the consultants are then gonna build on their Odoo expertise, because of course nobody knows the system better than our own consultants. So they're going to be looking at, okay, in order to get this specific KPIs, where are we all going to get these specific types of data? So where are we going to get these sales or these invoice data, and build on this Odoo structure in order to get these different KPIs. This is also the point in time where if new fields need to be created, for example, to get a certain metric, this is also the point in time where we're going to be looking at this creation of new fields, new models, or even new trackings for your company. It's important that we do this before we actually create this dashboard, because in this way we avoid that your company has been working for quite some time. You want to report on this specific KPI, but actually you don't have the necessary data because this metric was not standardly available in Odoo. While with Studio Tool, it would have taken only a couple of minutes in order to get this field there and to really start tracking the data as well for this data collection. Once all the data is collected, our consultants are going to start manipulating it and really going to link the dashboards to the respective fields in the backend in the other applications of Odoo, and going to start calculating, doing their necessary manipulations of this data, doing the necessary calculations on this data within the spreadsheet tool of Odoo, which is actually completely Excel-based. So it's pretty easy to do this manipulation, do these calculations. We have a lot of different formulas that you can work with, and where you can create these specific KPIs that you would be looking for. It's also in this point in time that if some data will need to be taken into account from outside, from external sources or sources that are not completely possible within Odoo, that the consultant can give you advice on how yeah, how the development or small modifications would need to be done within the database. Once all this data is collected, is manipulated, we're really going to start creating the dashboard. So we're going to have a complete dashboard ready for you, which is, of course, in a nice and visible way for you to have the complete overview within a couple of clicks. And once it's created, of course, we can also make custom filters, custom groupings for you to be able to, or for your clients to be able to easily see which type of reporting they need. For example, reporting per period, reporting per employee, comparing different periods with each other. These are all the filters, the groupings that our consultants, our business intelligence software team can create for you. With the final step, as with our normal quick start approach, we are actually going to be looking at the training. So not only the training of the customers, but it can also be useful for our partners. If you want to have an own business intelligence team, our consultants can also train specific partners and train them on how to modify specific dashboards, on how to adapt existing dashboards. Next to the training of our BI team, we can also, offer the standard e-learning solutions, the documentations you can always find back online, as again with all of our other applications, which you can easily find back online if you just look up business intelligence documentation or dashboarding documentation. If we then look at the time frame of an implementation of these specific dashboards, we actually divided this into two different moments. So the first big moment is before the implementation, where we are really going to be looking at the analyzing and establishing of the necessary KPIs aligned with the customer or with the partner on the reports that the customer would need, and also do this customization. So it's important, as I mentioned before, that these customizations happen really before the implementation in order to avoid having a loss of reporting of a couple of months because some fields were not there. That would be a real pity. After the implementation then, the consultant is going to come back to you, or you're going to come back to the consultant or the partner, and really going to do a complete audit of the different processes of your dashboarding tool. Are you happy with it? Are you using it? And does it give you the right data? Does it give you all the necessary information in order to spot the trends within your business, in order to see where it's going right, or maybe also where it's going wrong? So after the implementation, the consultant stays there, trains you to recreate dashboards, trains you to modify these dashboards. So these two different time frames we are going to be looking at. If we now look at the main advantages of Odoo compared to these different solutions that we have been talking about before, the first one is the main advantage, in my opinion, of not only the dashboarding and spreadsheet application, but is actually the main advantage of Odoo in general. So we're going to be looking at one central platform. We don't need an extra subscription. We don't need integrations. We don't need any complexity. It's all managed within this one platform. With a couple of clicks, we have our dashboarding tool right there for us. Next to this, we also have this quick access to data. So as you've seen before, with Consulting Pro, if we go in their cash flow analysis dashboard, we can easily click. We can see where exactly are these specific numbers coming from. We can adapt them when necessary. And so it's a very dynamic and true access to data within this one platform. Thirdly, there's no extra costs that are there for your business with regards to subscription, because in the end, you're already paying with Odoo for all of the applications. I always tell my customers, it's really up to you to decide which of the apps you are going to use and which of the apps you're not going to use. It would be a pity to pay a full subscription cost for, let's say, 20 employees and only be maybe making use of the project and the CRM application, while you have this powerful dashboarding tool, while you have this website application, etc. So it's included within the subscription application. Also, if you have an implementation pack, this BI services team can assist you with the quick start methodology as a part of your implementation pack. It's also very interactive and dynamic. We didn't see it now with the cash flow applications because we didn't really put the attention to it. But every update that gets made in the backend, so a new invoice comes in or a new invoice is sent out to the customer, it immediately gets taken into account. There's no delay with regards to timing. Everything is immediately there. You can easily click it, and with these filters you can play around and see the exact type of reporting that you would need to be looking at. And lastly, it's very easy to use. spreadsheets and dashboard is an Excel-based tool. I think 99% of the people here are able to use Excel, are able to find their way around simple formulas or more complex formulas even, and so are also able to modify these dashboards to your own needs. Access rights also get taken into account immediately. So for example, if I would not have access to the sales application of Odoo, of the Odoo of Consulting Pro, for example, I also would not be able to see these specific aspects within the dashboard tool, within the dashboard application. If you still want to share some data, for example, with people who don't have necessary access rights, or with external people, such as customer or suppliers, it's also always easy to just print specific dashboards that you need to share and share this frame, of course, not dynamic anymore then, but you can share it with the respective people and easily share your data and your the things you get out of it, of course, then as well. If all of this sounded very interesting to you, I would suggest you to hurry to our website and to actually go to odoo.com/services/business intelligence, or just look up Odoo Business Intelligence online, where you can discuss your project with one of our consultants who will guide you through the best way of reporting, do all these process steps with you, and hopefully guide you to the best reporting possible. This was it from my side. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them for you right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your interesting talk. I do have some questions for you. The first question is that a client asks is, we have to create these reports every year again. Do they have to create it again, or can it be updated automatically?
No, once it's there, they get updated automatically. So it's a dashboard application.
Perfect.
It will stay there as well.
Okay, clear. How much time would be needed to build up an analysis comparable to the one you presented?
If we're going to be looking at this cash flow analysis, as it stayed quite basic, this would not take that much time, but it always depends a bit, project per project, rather, or client per client. So I suggest you really go to our website and discuss it with our consultants in order to give you the best advice possible, because it's quite hard to give an estimation of time. Just like that.
Maybe a hard one for you to answer, but how long would it take to train someone to create such reports? I think consultants of ours can help with that, or no?
Yeah, consultants can for sure help you with it. It's part of the pack as well, or they can train the partners as well, of course. How long it would take to train is a difficult question to answer. How IT friendly are the people? How Excel oriented are they? And how fast you are. It's pretty easy to use. If you're used to using Excel, I don't think the training should take too long. But again, it's depending on a lot of different factors.
Okay. Looking, has a cash flow statement been upgraded in accounting as well?
No, the cash not to my awareness actually, but the cash flow statements will probably stay the same. Maybe just to clarify into why we didn't make this cash flow statement, for example, standard within the accounting application, is because cash flow is a very company-specific tool, and every company looks at it a bit differently. Some people want to take, for example, their send out quotes into account as well for the cash flow, want to take into account their sales order and not only the invoices. For example, Consulting Pro only looked at the due date of the invoices, but if you want to take into account your quotations that you send out as well, or the expected revenue you put on CRM, these are all options that could be possible, but it will depend again on the need of the client. So that's why we decided to not make it standard within Odoo 18.
Clear. Is there a report that can generate a forecast for future revenues and expenses based on the available data?
Okay,
example?
The question, please?
The last one.
Is there a report? Monthly payments over 1-2 years incomes. Yeah, this can also be taken into account with the dashboarding.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think most questions are covered because most of them are about training consultants.
Okay.
Do you want one more, or is it?
Well, we can do one more.
Okay, we'll do one more to finish. In your example of cash flow, can you dig in at the project view using the analytics? The first one.
In your example of cash flow. Yeah, if you link the analytic accounts, then it could be clickable as well, and you could go to the project view then as well and see which analytic accounts or which specific costs linked to a project get taken into account with the cash flow.
Okay. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you
Martin.
very much.